Ever wish you could just absorb a book's main ideas without, actually reading the whole thing?
Yeah, I get it. Life's busy.
Exactly. So we're trying something new. We're diving into Orbital, this novel by Samantha Harvey, but we're doing it with Mindful Moment.
Mindful moments.
It's a platform with, like, AI-narrated summaries of these insightful books.
Ah, okay, so it's brain food, but on the go.
You got it. Perfect for, well, everyone these days, really.
And Orbital is perfect for this kind of thing. Super unique novel. It follows 6 astronauts, all from different countries.
Living on the International Space Station.
Right, the ISS.
So we're talking astronauts, space station, orbiting Earth every 90 minutes. That's got to be intense.
It is. And the book really digs into how that experience, changes their whole perspective. Imagine looking down and seeing the entire planet.
Whoa. Yeah, that would definitely change how you see things, wouldn't it?
Big time. At first they're just awestruck by the view, but it goes deeper than that.
They start to understand how everything on Earth is connected.
Exactly. And how fragile it all is.
There's this part in Orbit 6 where they're talking about seeing the effects of, political stuff on the environment. All from space. It's a wake-up call.
It really is. It makes you think about responsibility. We usually only see our impact locally,
But from space, they see the whole picture.
Right. Deforestation, melting glaciers, even cities sprawling out.
And the way the novel is structured really emphasizes that interconnectedness, too. Each chapter is named after an orbit.
Ah, so it's like their experience, always moving, always circling.
Tethered to Earth, but also detached.
Yeah. And that detachment, even though it's physical, it creates room for introspection.
So they're each dealing with personal stuff, too.
Definitely. Like Sean. As a kid, he was fascinated by the Challenger disaster.
Wow. I wonder if that shaped how he sees the risks and rewards of space travel now.
Oh, totally. It adds so much depth to his character. You see that mix of wonder and ambition, but also the danger.
And then there's Chi. She's dealing with the loss of her mother, being up in space so far away. Let's make that grief even harder.
I think so. It highlights the contrast between this incredible human achievement, sending people into space, and her own very personal grief. What we leave behind,
It makes you think about the sacrifices involved, what we give up to explore.
For sure. And, even in this high-tech environment, there's still that basic human need for connection.
Like that scene in Orbit 5, Ascending. Pietro brings garlic to space, trying to spice up his food. Let's just say it didn't go as planned.
Oh, no.
It's actually kind of funny, but it makes you realize that even amidst all these scientific advancements, we still crave those familiar comforts.
Right.
And each astronaut copes differently. Chi makes lists, others dream of Earth, trying to stay grounded.
It makes you wonder, how would future generations adapt to life off-planet? Imagine living on Mars.
How would they handle the isolation, the distance?
That's a question Orbital really asks. The human cost of exploration.
The potential for growth, but also alienation.
Yeah. And it doesn't give easy answers. It just makes you think about what it means to be human.
To explore, to dream, to face our limitations.
And our aspirations. There's this passage where Nell, one of the astronauts, compares space travel to freediving.
Freediving.
Yeah. She talks about the weightlessness, the feeling of being surrounded by this vast and different world.
So powerful.
Yeah.
It emphasizes how vulnerable we are in these extreme environments.
Totally. Both space travel and freediving demand so much resilience, both physically and mentally, pushing those boundaries.
But there's also beauty in that vulnerability, isn't there?
Absolutely. A kind of awe, just existing, being present in those incredible moments.
And Harvey's descriptions of what they see from space. It's breathtaking. Auroras, typhoons, rainforests on fire.
It's not just about pretty pictures, though. It's about seeing Earth as a whole, connected, fragile.
A whole new perspective. And then there's that scene where Pietro's looking at a postcard of Las Meninas, a famous painting.
Right.
His wife sent it to him. She asks, what's the subject of the painting?
Such a simple question, but it sparks so much interpretation, different viewpoints.
Like we, the readers, are being asked to consider different perspectives, too.
It's like a microcosm of the bigger questions the book's asking about humanity, exploration, our place in the universe. There's also that discussion about the Voyager Golden Records.
Those messages we sent out into space.
Exactly. What are we trying to say? What do we hope for?
And what message do we want to send to ourselves?
Can we learn from our mistakes? Create a future where exploration and responsibility go hand in hand?
Those are some serious questions. Orbital definitely doesn't shy away from them.
It pushes us to think critically about our role in space exploration. the ethical side of it all.
And to appreciate how everything's connected, from the personal to the cosmic.
It really is a remarkable book. It really does make you think about all those different angles.
And the book doesn't shy away from the tough parts of space exploration either. Like in Orbit 1 into Orbit 2, when that crew heading for the moon shows up.
Oh, yeah, that's a big moment.
It kind of stirs up all these emotions for the astronauts on the space station.
And envy, probably.
Right. For Chi especially, it makes her feel even further away from everything back on Earth, that grief she's carrying.
But for others, it might rekindle that ambition, maybe even some regret. Like, why am I not on that mission?
That makes me think about the balance between ambition and connection. Can you really push the boundaries of exploration and still stay grounded in those important relationships?
It's a constant tension, that's for sure. Throughout the whole book, you see the astronauts grappling with the sacrifices they've made, the people they've left behind.
And yet they're drawn to space,
Yeah.
They want to stay up there.
It's a strange paradox.
There's this part in Orbit 14, Descending, where she's making all these lists meticulously. Like she's trying to impose some kind of order on this chaotic experience.
Trying to stay in control, maybe?
Yeah, I think so. It's like list making, dreaming of Earth, finding comfort in routines.
Right.
All those little ways they try to cope with being in this extraordinary situation.
Makes you think about the psychological side of things.
Totally. Like, how would future generations adapt to life off-planet long-term?
Imagine like a permanent colony on Mars. How would they deal with the isolation?
The sheer distance from everything familiar.
It's a big question. Orbital leave you pondering. The human cost of exploration, the potential for growth, but also, like you said before, that feeling of alienation.
And the book doesn't give you any easy answers. It just lays out all those complexities, makes you confront those ethical dilemmas head on.
Which is what makes it so thought-provoking, right? It's not just sci-fi adventure. It's deeper than that.
It's a reflection on humanity itself.
Our need to explore, to dream, to push our limits, and come to terms with them.
That part in Orbit 8, Descending, where Nell compares space travel to freediving, that really struck me.
The freediving analogy.
Yeah. She talks about the weightlessness, being surrounded by this vast, indifferent world.
Both experiences really highlight how vulnerable we are in those extreme environments.
And they both require incredible resilience, both physically and mentally. That willingness to push beyond what we think we're capable of.
Definitely. And there's a certain beauty in that vulnerability too, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. A kind of awe-inspiring beauty in just existing in those moments. And Harvey's descriptions of what they see from space, wow, auroras, typhoons, rainforests on fire, it's breathtaking.
It's more than just pretty scenery, though. It's about shifting perspectives, seeing Earth as this whole interconnected, fragile thing.
Right. Speaking of shifting perspectives, What about that scene where Pietro's interpreting A Las Meninas?
The painting. Oh, yeah, the dog.
Yeah, he focuses on the dog. It's the only one not looking at anyone or anything.
That's such an interesting detail. It adds a whole other layer of meaning. Like, is the dog just oblivious? Or does it represent something else?
A different way of being, maybe. Free from that constant need to observe and be observed.
Makes you wonder if true freedom comes from accepting our place in the world without all the striving.
Without the need to conquer, to achieve. And then there's the contrast between the excitement of the lunar landing and then right after, they see this devastating typhoon in the Philippines.
That's a powerful juxtaposition. It reminds us that while we're reaching for the stars, we can't forget about what's happening here at home.
The challenges we face here on Earth. And it all ties back into that idea of interconnectedness, right?
Exactly. What affects Earth affects space and vice versa. It's a delicate balance.
And it makes you think, whose vision are we pursuing when it comes to space exploration? Is it purely scientific curiosity or something else driving it?
And what about our responsibility to the planet we're leaving behind? It's not a simple question.
It's not. Orbital reminds us that those personal stories, those individual journeys, are just as important as the grand narratives of exploration.
Absolutely. It shows us that even amidst the vastness of space, the most powerful connections are often human ones.
Those moments of vulnerability, of searching for meaning.
It's about finding those connections in a world that can feel pretty indifferent sometimes.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Makes you wonder what we'd say to those future humans,
Living on Mars, or somewhere even further out.
Yeah, if we could send them a message, what would it be? Knowing all that we know now about space, about Earth.
That's a good question. It's not just practical advice, is it? It's about something deeper.
Sharing our humanity, maybe? what
Yeah.
we value, what we hope for.
Reminding them to find that balance, right, between ambition and taking responsibility.
Appreciating life, wherever they find it, however fragile it might be.
And remembering where they came from, the lessons we've learned, the mistakes we've made.
In a way, Orbital is kind of like that message, isn't it? A story that goes beyond time and distance. Makes us think about who we are, the choices we make.
Our impact on each other, on the world.
It's a reminder that exploration isn't just about going places. It's about going inward, too.
Facing our fears, questioning what we think we know, expanding our idea of what it means to be human.
And finding beauty in the small stuff, too.
The everyday
A
moments.
sunrise, a shared meal, a memory. Those are the things that really connect us.
And those connections, those glimpses of humanity, that's what makes Orbital so powerful.
It really stays with you, makes you look at the world and yourself differently.
So if you're looking for a book that'll make you think, that'll spark your imagination,
Yeah.
that'll make you appreciate life a little bit more,
Check out Orbital by Samantha Harvey.
you can find a link to buy the book in the show notes. And hey, if you enjoyed this deep dive, be sure to subscribe to Mindful Moments. They've got more AI-narrated summaries, tons of great discussions. It's brain food on the go.
It really is. And you never know, it might just inspire your own adventure, whether it's exploring the cosmos or just exploring new ideas.
And don't forget to share this episode with anyone who might be interested in, well, in taking a deep dive into literature. And maybe exploring a little bit of their own universe, too.
Because sometimes the greatest journeys start with a single story.
So until next time, keep seeking, keep exploring, and keep those minds mindful.